Mark chapter 3, verse 18. Now, this is a cluttered verse in terms of names. Andrew and Philip and Bartholomew and Matthew and Thomas and James the son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus and Simon the Canaanite. We're going to do each one individually, give them respect for who they were. Andrew. His name means valor or manhood.
Yeah, manly.
Andreas.
There's probably a few things that we could say about him. Again, he features in the lead group of disciples. He's normally always the least known in that lead group. There are 9 times that he's mentioned in the New Testament, and pretty much every one of those are mentions in passing. So he's not the guy that sits under the spotlight. In fact, he stands very much in the wing as his brother, Simon Peter, stands under the spotlight. He's a man who is quiet, he doesn't make a lot of fuss, drama, and he is often the means by which other people are introduced to Jesus. He just gets his head down and gets on with it with minimal fuss.
He's possibly a disciple again of John the Baptist,
Yes.
I've read. There are parts that we've been talking about where they're lurking in the background, not quite vibing with what Jesus is saying. That's not to say that they're at loggerheads, but there's a group over there where these are now peeling off and coming towards Jesus. It's not really put in words, is it? That doesn't come across like that.
John the Baptiser sort of sets the scene for this, though, doesn't he, really? Because he tells his disciples that he is not Messiah. I'm not even worthy to undo the shoelace. John, in his Gospel, John 1, he says, the same came for a witness to bear witness of the light that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness to that light. He's making a point that John the Baptiser is over here trying to shine his light onto Jesus, who is waiting in the wing, waiting to step out and to step under that spotlight. You know, he was asked whether he was the Christ, and he said, no, I'm not the Christ. Are you Elijah? He says, no, I'm not. Are you a prophet? And he answered, no. He said, who are you? He said, I'm the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord. John the Baptiser, he's the one who's heralding in a highway for Messiah to walk on. And after Jesus is baptized, John 1 again, it says the next day after John stood and 2 of his disciples. So where it says those 2 of his disciples, that is probably Andrew and probably the Apostle John. He looks on Jesus as he walked and he said, behold the Lamb of God. So you can imagine these 3 guys stood there. You want to know who you should be following? That's the man. Those 2 disciples are Andrew and John. They hear him and they go and find him. Go up to Jesus and say, can we get into your group? In the King James, John 1:38, say, where dwellest thou? Which basically means sort of, we want to come after you. Jesus says, come and see. And one of the 2 which heard John speak and followed him was Andrew, Simon Peter's brother.